Hello, my name is Miranda Zahner, and my partners and I have decided to use two pivotal cases in the United States history to critique and discuss the justice or lack thereof in the heat of the Me Too movement. This movement was originally created to bring awareness to sexual assault and harassment, especially in the workplace. It advocates for the voices of those who have experienced it and could not find the strength to speak about it. On average, there are 321,500 victims every year, aged 12 or older, of rape and sexual assault in the United States. This is just based on reported incidents. 1 out of every 10 victims of rape is male, but despite the fact that men are also commonly victims of sexual assault, the conversation about it is almost non existent. However, with the recent growth in the Me Too movement's popularity, the conversation about sexual assault has expanded to include men and women of all colors and ages. Although it has been around since 2006, the Me Too movement has recently gone viral in the face of social media, making its presence known and unable to be ignored. We chose 2 cases of sexual assault from different time periods to analyze the differentiating political and social climates, especially those related to male victims of sexual assault. In New York in the 1980s, one middle-class family's life was turned upside down by allegations of sexual assault. Arnold Freeman was an award-winning school teacher, and he held piano and computer lessons at his home for children. After his mail was intercepted and flagged by the U.S. Postal Service under suspicion of containing child pornography, New York law enforcement officials were able to obtain a search warrant for the Freeman residence in Great Neck. After finding evidence of child pornography in the house, officials interviewed Freeman's piano and computer students. One by one, students came forward and alleged that Freeman and his son Jesse had sexually abused them during their lessons. 245 counts of sexual abuse were brought against Freeman and his son. Arnold Freeman pled guilty and was sentenced to 10 to 30 years. He overdosed on antidepressants and died in prison. Jesse, just 18 at the time of the allegations, pled guilty and was sentenced to 6 to 18 years. He was released after serving 13. The case against the Freedmans was based almost entirely on the kids' testimony. Law enforcement officials found little to no physical evidence of sexual abuse, but managed to build their case on victim testimony and circumstantial evidence. The case was conducted properly, and officials built a solid case with the evidence that they had. When thinking in terms of the criminal justice system, justice in this case was served. The compelling victims' testimonies and Arnold and Jesse Freedman's own statements support law enforcement's belief that both Arnold and Jesse were responsible for abusing these students.
In the late 1980s, people were not as open about sexual assault as they are today. There were little to no conversations about rape and consent, and cases of sexual assault were not publicized. Over the years, people have become more and more educated about sexual assault and open to discussing it. For example, self-defense classes have become more popular with police departments and gyms. Some community centers are even offering classes designed to teach individuals how to protect themselves. In the 1980s, people were just becoming more aware about the sexual assault crisis. Activists began using their domestic violence work to lobby for sexual assault awareness and wanted to dedicate a week to speak about the issue and a place for victims to be heard. Eventually, they settled on a week in April. This week became so popular that they eventually had to begin holding different events throughout the month of April. In 2001, the first Sexual Assault Awareness Month was observed. Just 5 years later, the Me Too movement was founded. The Me Too movement is an effort to support survivors of sexual assault and help them heal. More recently, celebrities have used their status to bring more attention to the Me Too movement and abuse within Hollywood. Actors, writers, and producers have been accused of perpetrating sexual assault. One such case is that of actor Kevin Spacey.
The first allegation against Spacey arose in October of 2017. Actor Andy Rapp claimed that Spacey made advances toward him in 1986 when Rapp was just 14 years old. He attempted to silence allegations with a superficial apology that said he had no recollection of his behavior. In the process of apologizing, he came out as gay as well, which was met with a lot of criticism. But the damage was already done. After Rapp's initial complaint, the floodgates opened and 15 males stepped forward with allegations against Spacey for sexual assault, all before the end of the year. As more men stepped forward, news of prior investigations into Spacey also broke. According to an investigation by the Old Vic Theater, 20 individuals testified of alleged inappropriate behavior by Spacey during his employment as artistic director from 2004 to 2015. Scotland Yard also announced that they were investigating Spacey in connection with the sexual assault of a male in Lambeth, which occurred in 2005. More recently, in April 2018, the Los Angeles County District Attorney announced that they were considering bringing charges against Spacey for the alleged sexual assault of an adult male in 1992. During their investigation, the Los Angeles DA also found more than 30 men who reported that they were victims of unwanted sexual advances made by Spacey. Like the Friedmans and many other cases of sexual assault, there is little to no physical evidence to corroborate any of these allegations. However, that does not stop law enforcement from investigating these incidents. Despite these investigations, no formal charges have yet been brought against Spacey. It's possible that because of his public status and wealth, Spacey will not be held legally accountable for these allegations, and his victims may never get the justice that they deserve. Nonetheless, as more light is shed on this case, the conversation about how sexual assault impacts male victims is increasing. As we can see, the changes within the U.S. social and political climates in the past 30 years have evolved the way that society views sexual assault. At the time of the Friedman case, sexual assault was not viewed as a serious problem in our society, and many of the laws we have today that protect the victims of sexual assaults did not yet exist. Since then, this once taboo topic has become much easier to talk about in a public manner, thanks to the creation of several sexual assault support organizations like the Me Too movement, as well as events which promote awareness of this issue, such as April's Sexual Assault Awareness Week. While the criminal justice system has made great advances in the manner that sexual assault cases are handled, this does not mean that it is perfect by any means. Even though society is not as educated on sexual assault in the 1980s, justice was still served in the Friedman case, where nearly all of the evidence was circumstantial and testimonies were given by young children. However, at this point in time, justice has not been served regarding the Kevin Spacey allegations, as testimonies and investigations into the actor's past have not resulted in any formal charges against him. While it is expected that every citizen must obey by the same laws and face the same punishments for their offenses, no matter their social or financial status, we know that this is not always the case. Hopefully, the criminal justice system will continue to make improvements that will result in justice being done in more efficient ways.
Hi, it's Miranda again, and I'm joined now with Peyton Chiaro and Andrew Corsi. So, do you guys know what the Me Too movement is?
I do.
Yes. Right. And what did you hear about it? What did you learn about it?
So on Twitter, there was a lot of hashtags that said Me Too, so I looked more into it, and I found out that it's about sexual assault and survivors and victims.
I also saw it on Twitter, and when I looked it up, I also saw that it was about sexual assault survivors and victims.
Okay. Have you guys heard about the Kevin Spacey case that was in the news recently?
I've heard about it, but I don't know many details about it.
I have, and I heard that it involves a male as a victim.
All right, and how do you feel about that, since the common stigma with sexual assault and harassment is that women come out about it more, and like men, the light hasn't been shed on the fact that men can be sexual assault victims as well, even though 1 in 10 men are sexual assault victims in the United States. So what do you think that tells about that statistic?
Well, it's important because Kevin Spacey is an actor, he's famous. People see that he has sexually assaulted a male, then it's going to be in the news more, it's going to be in the public eye more that it does happen to guys too.
Okay. It's just very important to be aware that not only women can be victims or survivors, but also men can also